Say something, Brianna.
Okay.
Oh, you sound lovely.
No, I don't.
You do.
I do not. I have that.
But you don't have that, like...
Vocal
You don't
fry.
have that.
I do have vocal fry.
No.
Okay, how is that?
Very sexy.
Frank.
His voice is really nice.
Right?
I love you. You're so funny. How is everyone?
Good.
Doing well today.
Yeah.
How are you? How was your day?
It was really nice. I had the day off, so I didn't have to teach or anything I get scheduled. So we went into the Children's Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Gross place.
I know. It's sad. It's actually really sad.
I was like, what is
Depressing
happening here? It's so sad.
And they don't clean it. Anything
It's
looks
dirty as fuck.
Really?
There's like weird pools of water with toys in it, and everyone's putting their hands in it. And Will's like, come here and play. I'm like, I'm not touching that shit. It looks really unkept.
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
There's like weird rooms with like taxidermy animals, which is cool, like looking at nature and stuff. But then in the corner, there was just a big ass iguana and like a dimly lit corner, just like in this like empty cage. No other animals around it. It looked so sad.
Oh my gosh.
And then like a parrot in the other corner looking really sad too. It was like
They should just
fluorescent
put them
lights.
A
I'm like,
real one?
yeah.
Oh man, I
It's
haven't
not
seen
even
real
like-
animals in there. That sucks.
It was strange because the whole, like, there were literally 2 animals in this big room. Everything else was taxidermied and stuffed. But there were 2 live animals.
Gotta look at that shit all day.
They were
Oh
just
my
like,
gosh.
I was like, Thea, I gotta get out of
Stressed
here.
out.
I was like, we have to leave right now. Thea was like, I'm never bringing my child here again.
Welcome to our 3rd episode.
Yeah, 3rd one. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I know. Time's flying. This is the Bruised Ego podcast with Brianna and Terrence.
Hey,
Terrence,
guys.
Brianna.
With a special guest
Whoop whoop!
today.
The homie. Like, one of my closest friends. It's so nice. I'm so excited she's here.
I feel so special.
Welcome, Francoise Foster.
Hello, everyone.
Ooh, that was nice.
Thanks
Right?
for having me.
She's got that sexy NPR voice.
Oh,
Yes.
do you like it?
Yes. She'll be joining our discussion today on ghosting. I know,
It feels,
right?
that sounded heavy.
Immediate.
I feel like I know it too well, but I shouldn't.
Well,
You know?
it's.
Try to become a better person.
I feel you on that.
One yoga class at a time.
Yeah. You know it too well. Like you do it personally? Or
I
like,
do. I'm a ghoster.
Serial
Yeah.
ghoster. So this is a tactic.
Yes.
This is a tool.
This is
in
what
your
I do.
arsenal.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was a teenager. Started with friends, I guess. Like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Well, I decide that I don't want to be your friend anymore. I just don't relay the message. The message is when I disappear. That's the point.
Damn.
I know, but as
Sorry.
I've gotten older, I've realized that maybe this isn't the best way to go about it. And I always tell myself I'm not going to do it.
So, I guess my question for everybody is, when you had to sit down and think about your experiences with ghosting, what did you find out that you were a Frankie who is the ghoster and not the ghosted? Because you've never been ghosted before, right, Frankie?
No, not that I can remember.
Okay, so it's fair to say that you don't know what it's like to be on that side of receiving the ambiguity of not knowing why someone doesn't want to fuck with you on any level anymore.
Not really.
Okay.
I've ghosted and expected someone to reappear only for them to not.
Go ahead.
Only for them to ghost me.
That's not. They're just.
Does that count?
No, they're just.
Them
they're
responding to my ghosting.
I think so.
That doesn't count. Okay, so no, I've never been ghosted.
You've been ghosted before?
You know, it's actually hard for me to. I don't think I've been ghosted just straight off the back. Like,
damn,
that's
I'm a
it.
loser. I'm kidding.
Really?
Shut up.
I'm joking.
I
That's
mean,
not
I've
true.
definitely dealt with relationships that have kind of faded into this like fog of ambiguity, where there's like subtle communications here and there and like very confusing, just very confusing, like communication about what the other person wants.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've ever been ghosted. I don't know if I've ever done it completely to people, but I have my ways of doing it.
Are there levels to ghosting?
I think so for myself.
I think it feels as though there are, because there are the light ghosts, which are
the translucent ghosts.
Yeah, the ones that kind of tell you can see it coming.
Right.
You kind of know what's going to happen.
Right. That's what I've dealt with.
Yeah. See, I've dealt with the complete fall off from the planet, not knowing if I'm a horrible human being, and that's why you don't want to fuck with me, ghost. And that's really just insecurity talking, but I find I have been ghosted, straight up, clearly, non-communicated ghosting. That's happened.
What was there like there's been multiple occurrences?
There have been multiple occurrences. Okay. I won't lie.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, did I ghost him or did he ghost me? I'm trying to think.
The ghosting just
in
happened.
my mind, I ghosted him, but this is interesting.
Do you want to share the particular instances or any of them?
Brianna?
Well, I did one of them that was more recent than the other, but it was a situation of Tinder dating, and he was really nice. I got into it. I think we hung out maybe three times, 4 times. Is it?
That's a lot.
It's a good amount of times for a Tinder date, I would say.
You know, and we texted, and we were intimate. We fucked, and I liked him. I thought he was a cool person. I wasn't looking for a relationship, but I was looking for cool people to fuck with. I wanted my cake, and I wanted to eat it too. Like, I wanted to be able to snuggle bunny, and then go watch a movie together or have dinner together. And we had already done those things. We didn't do dinner, but we did movie and house visit, and it was nice. And sex got kind of weird and wild, and it was interesting, but it was nice. The whole experience, I enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to hanging out with him some more. And he hit me with this was that light ghost right here. He was setting me up. He kind of knew he's about to chunk the dudes. So he hit me up one day, and he said to me that, he just wanted to make sure that I understood he didn't want a relationship, and, that he wasn't wanting anything serious, but, that it was cool. And I was like, I just want to hang out with you. I think you're a great person. This is me trying to be transparent. I think you're a cool person. I enjoy hanging out with you. Sex was starting to turn into something nice. I was like, this is good, and the last time he was over, we got super blazed, probably a mistake. And we made out so much. I mean, my face was just dry. Every part of my body just felt like cardboard after a while, because we had just exhausted all saliva and body. Anyway, I just felt like we left on this really weird level. Like, he left that night, and he was just like, I was just like, all right, well, I'll see you later. Bye. And then I felt like that was it. After that, I heard nothing from him. I hit him up, and I was like, oh, had a great time. Love to see you again. Nothing. And I was just like, damn. Okay. I felt kind of embarrassed because we had already had sex, and, to put myself out there physically wasn't something I always done so quickly, so soon. So that was a little disturbing. And that I just wanted to be treated. Yes, you had said that other thing, that you didn't want anything. And I responded to it with equal, emotion and sentiment. And that you still felt like you couldn't just say, this isn't for me, but, it's been nice or some shit like that you couldn't do that. That still kind of bugged me. So yeah, I didn't really know how to deal with that. And I'm not going to lie, for a few days afterwards, I was in this woe is me kind of like fog where I felt like it was my fault and I did something wrong and what was wrong with me. Because I was also newly dating at the time. But yeah, that sucked. It sucked a lot. And funny enough, I was at Warby one day and I was actually in there to chit chat with you.
Yes.
And then homeboy walked in and it was...
What did he say to you?
New York.
I don't know.
He said something like he did something. You're like, why did he say that?
I wonder this for the ghosters. Like, do you not know that there's potential to run into the person that you've ghosted?
I knew.
And you wanted to hug me. I actually did hug him, but it took me a second for my body to respond to that because I really was just trying to figure out why we were talking. Because if you ghost, nigga, ghost.
Right.
No.
Don't acknowledge me. Please don't say nothing to me no more because that's enough. Yeah. It's enough of a disregard. This is how I felt at that moment. It was enough of a disregard for my feelings at that time. Don't be polite now.
Right.
Because you feel awkward. I'm good. Just laughing at your ass from the corner because that was rude. I'm so good with that. And I think your shirts are too tight, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Medium. Get a large.
I'm a polite ghoster then.
Right.
I am. Yeah. Every time I see him at my favorite Target, I have to say something. I'll hug. I'll ask you about work.
So there's an incident with someone.
Yeah. So I guess we went on 2 dates. I just wasn't. It was the second date was too much for me, and I think he sensed that it was too much as well. Mm-hmm. He apologized, and then I guess he tried to reach out, and I decided that no, this isn't going to work without telling him that it wasn't going to work. So I became a ghost. But he lives not too far from my favorite Target and not too far from the school I'm attending. So I knew the day would come and I knew I was going to look my absolute worst when I saw him. So I'm in Target knowing that this day is going to come, hood on, everything. And we run into each other.
And how was that?
It was only awkward because it wasn't like he saw me, I saw him, we said hello, and then we decided to go our separate ways. Mm-hmm. It was more so like, hey, I'm also going to follow you all the way downstairs to your cab.
So he's a ghost that don't want to be ghosted.
Yeah, but then maybe it's the polite ghost in me that made him feel like, hey, this is not that bad because she's actually having a conversation and maybe I didn't do anything wrong. So then I thought when I got home, oh, maybe I was the reason for him. Or maybe he's just a really nice person.
Right.
And I'm the terrible person here. That could also be it.
What's your drive behind like not wanting to like say, hey, this isn't going to work instead of just not confronting it or?
No, sometimes I honestly feel like I don't owe anyone an explanation. I don't feel like and that's so terrible.
We were talking about that on the way here.
Yeah.
We were talking about that
I don't owe you an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And elaborate on that.
I shouldn't have to explain why I don't want you in my life anymore. Ooh, I sound like a terrible human being. Now that I'm saying
it's the microphones, girl. It's the microphones.
Goodness. Wait, what did I just say? But that's honestly how I feel. I believe that you should know why I don't want you in my life.
You understand how
that sounds crazy, but in that particular case, in my mind, I believe that he should have known.
But also, just to pose a question, but what's the harm in communicating it in case he doesn't know? Because I feel like you never know what people know.
I don't want someone to feel like they have to change for me. So the reason why I'm ghosting you is because you've done something or this is something that you do and I don't like it. And in my mind, I believe that if I tell you that I don't like something, that you'll change it for me. And I don't want someone to change for me. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather not deal with that person and have them go about their everyday life and go about mine, as opposed to saying, hey, I don't like the way you wear this or that, or I don't like the way you say this, and them feeling the need to change.
Researching some of this stuff on ghosting, because it's it's now a studied...
It's an epidemic.
It's a studied part of psychology, which is so interesting because it's a new way of communication and a new way of passive aggressiveness that people are out in the world experiencing and also just, being a part of. And what was interesting for me was to understand that the guilt is still there when people ghost because they don't know where they have left a person. Mm-hmm. And there's guilt behind that, right? When you're the ghoster, you don't know where you leave a person. There's still questions for you, just as there are for the person who was ghosted. But there's also this question of how you ghost or the way in which you can leave a person in a relationship. You don't have to adhere to the, you're the reason I don't like you, so I can't fuck with you, deuces. What could be done also is a more compassionate way of dealing with people's feelings because we're a social species. It's super important that we commune with each other, and to communicate compassionate consideration for another person, thoughtful consideration for another person is to say, this isn't working for me. I hope you have a great life. Thanks for everything. Doesn't have to be anything reflective about what didn't work about that person. Because what then happens, you become the judge and the jury, and this person's self-esteem is on the chopping block. Who they are as a person is being judged by your subjective, preferential thoughts, wants, and needs. Nothing real. All made up.
Right, because it is completely about what you want.
Exactly. Right.
And the things that which is neither good nor bad,
Yeah,
it's not like you're at fault for not wanting certain things or you or me or whatever, whoever.
Right. It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And that's the thing.
But that's a good point because I feel like oftentimes, at least for myself, like it's hard for me. It would be hard for me to like take ownership of that because it's so easy to just think that like it's about the other person. But it's really not. It's about what I want and what doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And yes, it's in a relationship, but like those are my issues, just talking here actually got me remembering that I have been ghosted once.
I feel like the same thing is happening to me.
Shit just falling out of the closets, right?
And it was really awkward because I did end up seeing him again. So what happened is it was a Tinder situation as well. We'd hung out. How many times have we hung out? Twice. So I think this was like our third time hanging out. We went to a restaurant in Greenpoint. Had like a good night. He was like kind of younger, kind of said some stupid shit here and there. I was just like, do I really want to be around this person? But I was like, kind of just enjoying myself. It was fine company. I remember he said one thing one time. He was like, yeah, I really only like hang out with like guys that are like really attractive. So, And I was like, am I supposed to like thank you right now? Like what was that?
I can't.
So I just I kind of did that, like kind of rolled my eyes, but I was like, I'll let that pass. Okay. I was like, let's just keep going.
Because I think you're calling me cute. I think you're calling me cute.
Maybe. I don't know if I really want to take that compliment, but so then we get in a cab and we go back to my place and we're just like hanging out, listening to music, smoking. And he was talking about how he liked to smoke. And I was like, cool, we can go smoke at my place. So we smoked. Maybe like 5 minutes into it, he just starts freaking the fuck out. It was just like, whoa, what was that sound? And I'm like, what, like the music? And he was like, no, but there was something else. I heard something. And I'm like, dude, it's all right. Just chill. Do you want some water? I was like trying to like keep it light, like telling jokes, like whatever. But he kept smoking because I kept smoking because I was fine. And it just escalated, got worse and worse and worse. And he was like sweating and red in the face. He was like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, you should probably just like take a breath, relax. Do you want something to eat? I was like fixing him snacks, trying to get him a little bit grounded.
Yeah.
Basically, I was just like, let's go to sleep. And I guess he wanted to like mess around, but I was like, you're too much for me. So I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. You can like sleep there if you wish, or you can go. It's up to you. But I was like, I really don't mind you staying, but like, you can just, there's nothing happening. And he was like, are you mad at me? I'm like, no, I'm just really tired, actually. It was just kind of exhausting the whole night, and I was just tired. Next morning, he left. He was like, thanks. I was like, yeah, it seemed cool. Like, we, like, hugged, and I was like, talk to you soon. We texted, like, a little bit after that. Maybe, like, a week after that, I sent him a text. Like, hey, you back in town? We should, like, hang out. Nothing. Maybe a few days later, hey, like, I saw your friend the other day. She said you're back from Miami. We should, like, if you want to get together, just, like, text me. Nothing. So, completely ignored me.
That's okay.
Maybe he thought I was an asshole for, like, I don't know.
For making him snacks?
I don't know. I thought it was actually
I've
really
never
kind.
gotten snacks, like, made for me at Terrence's house. I had to go in the fridge my damn self. Yeah.
But I saw him maybe, like, 3 weeks ago.
Ooh.
And he came to my yoga class.
Oh, shit.
He walked in the building. It was at Brooklyn. So he walked into the studio. And, like, the teacher always stands outside of the door before the class. So it's, like, a clear view of when people walk in. So he saw me, and he was with 2 friends of his. And he immediately started, I saw him, like, panicking. He started getting really red. He was, like, whispering to his friends. And they were looking over at me. I'm like, you know that I see this whole interaction, like, happening right here. I'm right here. And then he walked over to me, like, acting all. He was like, Terrence. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, yeah, craziest thing. I got deported.
See? No.
And I'm like, wait, you got deported? Because he was Australian, but he wasn't supposed to be living in the country, which was true. He was supposed to have already gone back because his visa
just
expired.
put his name out here. So.
I'm not going. I'm not
Call
going
the
to
embassy right now.
But he was like, yeah, I got deported, but now I'm back and everything's cool. Is that how that works? I don't think that's how that works. I don't think people get deported from this country and they can just come back like a week later.
No.
Right? I feel like that was a lie.
Or don't you still receive text messages? When
he had an
I don't know.
Did he have an iPhone?
I think so.
He definitely received those messages.
Whatever. I just was like, oh, okay, cool. If you need to get a map, they're $2. If you need a water, it's $1. You know?
Wait, I've
See, and that's the thing. It's this tricky balance of landing the communication so it's understood that something is not happening in perpetuity. You know, like if I could be ghosted in the best way possible, it would just be, you know, no. Ghosting in general is just a horrible thing to do to a person.
It makes you feel pretty awful. I think. I mean, being on the receiving end of like just that one story that I just told.
Yeah.
I thought I was actually very kind in that whole situation.
Yeah,
you were.
Besides just being like, I just want to sleep. Like, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like, yeah, I was very accommodating, and just the fact that I couldn't even get like a hello, or like, you know, I'd rather not hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just makes you feel like not worth something, or like you start to question. At least for me.
You know what's weird, and I don't like it, but maybe I do this to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the tit for tat thing we do when we date in New York or anywhere for that matter. If you don't text me, I won't text you. If you don't call
the game.
Me,
you don't.
I call it the tit for tat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it at all. That's why I'm a serial ghoster, because I'd rather just disappear than feel the need to
engage in that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just want you to do what you want to do. If you want to talk to me, call me or text me, because I will respond eventually to your desire to talk to me. But
some people won't. That's the thing. There are people who will not respond.
You're right. Sometimes some cases I thought, well, maybe if this guy tried harder, then he would not
but
have
see, you
been
imagine
ghosted.
that a person would not know that they need to do something different. And you've already said that you don't want someone to do something different. You don't want them to feel the need to change. Right. I get that. So inherently, maybe that's not a match.
Right.
But I also do think that if someone likes you enough, and it's not a big deal for them to just be like, oh, this person just doesn't like to be called after 10 p.m. I can change that. If it's something that's can be changed by a simple acknowledgement to that person that this is what they can do, it's not an intrinsic change to that person. And that's the thing. We don't know what other people value when it comes to relationships. We assume that they value the same things that we value, so that if I ghost them, they'll probably get over it. And why the fuck doesn't matter? They probably, and whether or not they're hurt, I'm pretty sure they'll move the fuck on.
Right.
But the thing is, upon looking into this, ghosting, it's rejection. And that's how it lands. And funny enough, I read this one article that said social rejection activates the same pain pathways in the brain as physical pain.
What? Isn't that crazy?
So, in fact, if you, for instance, experience some emotional pain or rejection with something like Tylenol or ibuprofen, like, you could feel better in that moment. Like that's
what?
That's how activate. Seriously, I know. And when I read that, I was like, wow, wow.
That's insane.
But it makes sense, just in the same way that we, in our last talking about bad thoughts, and the study that you cited where those group of people did mindful meditation, and that actually aided them in so many other areas of their life that they didn't even think imaginable, and it was sustaining itself. We don't know how powerful our brain is. We don't understand the connectivity 100% clearly. So to imagine that these two different areas, the emotional pain and the physical pain, could actually resonate in the same way, it blows people's mind. But people don't act out in the world that way. They don't act and acknowledge or understand or maybe even know that. For me, knowing that the ambiguity, the vagueness is the part that bothers me about ghosting. I like to consider myself as a very clear person with communication. That is a recent phenomenon in my life. Within the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned clarity in language, because language it's one of the things that separates us from a lot of other species in this. The range of our language is what separates us for a lot of the species on this planet. So that I can find a space to relieve someone of something that in part they have made me responsible for. I therefore take it as a responsibility and relieve them of it by just stating what's clear. If I tell you what I'm feeling and not make it about where you're failing, but just simply what doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me. I'm not available for this, that, or the other. I'm too busy to have this kind of relationship. We're too far. Whatever the situation is, giving that to someone gives them room to not torture themselves over it. I read something else that said that because ghosting gives you no cue for how to react, it creates this ultimate situation of ambiguity, of vagueness. And it said that because we're a social species and staying connected is really important to what we do, and because it's important for our survival, our brain has evolved in this way to include a social monitoring system so that we can adhere to the ways in which we can be with each other in social situations. Mm-hmm. And the cues are what regulate our ability to remain calm and to stay in accordance with our social situations. So you're not acting out and just choking someone because they don't like you, but that you respect someone's boundaries, and someone says they don't like you, and you get rejected, and you deal with it and you move on. Right. So because these social cues allow us to regulate our behavior, ghosting deprives people of the ability to make sense of what's going on so that they know how to adhere accordingly. So it causes this insanity or dysregulation of this system that operates around how to be in social situations. Mm-hmm. That's where the craziness comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. When I read that, I was like, what I felt when this guy just ignored me, what I felt this downward spiral of just me, self-rejection, self-esteem in the toilet. What did I do? What's wrong with him? It was, my brain was just wild. Everywhere.
It just runs wild, yeah.
It was like everything was out of whack. Everything. And it took some while to regain some confidence, because that was also a really turbulent time in general, being single for the first time in a long time. So that, on top of already feeling some other things, it just compounded itself. It really did. And knowing small bits of information like this, that some things are just inherent to our biology and also pre-wired for us to be together. Why wouldn't I want to be more compassionate to what affects people? Why wouldn't I want to hear people? You know, a simple thing is not, it does not inconvenience me. It may inconvenience other people, but it doesn't inconvenience me to say, no, thank you, if someone offers me something and I don't want it, rather than ignore them completely. Because I work in the service industry, I know what that feels like, to just say good morning or hello and have it completely ignored.
Just walk.
Completely.
It hits heavy.
Yeah, because you don't experience. Think about it. Yeah. It doesn't just happen once, right?
No, all day.
All day long. All day.
People just ignore the fact that you exist.
It's collective.
It's wild.
And that's what feels heavy.
Yeah.
Is that when you get ghosted, you know that it's not just you. You know that you're dealing with other people out in the world who are also still trying to figure out what this stuff means, who they are, where their self-worth is, you know, and everything's in the fucking balance. Everyone's fucking teetering and tottering all fucking day long. No one's got their shit together, but people are able to just disregard you because they don't want to be inconvenienced, or they don't themselves want to deal with something that they perceive to be as unnecessary or a problem. So that's how I've dealt with it. And upon reading some of this stuff, it started to just activate other parts of myself that just made it even more charged in this way of not being the best way to be with other people. I can just simply make it not about you and just tell you this is not going to work for me. And, you know, I hope all goes well. Deuces. And if you don't get it after then I can chunk the deuce, and then I can get the cops involved wherever I need to go with this.
I think I would like to take a second to acknowledge my habits.
R.I.P. habits.
I think I should.
Because I definitely see how I do that. Disregard people. Quite often in my life. Friends, family. And I don't really know why. I honestly don't know why. And I know that I've had multiple conversations with you. I mean, I will just speak very clearly. Usually it's in the form of communication with like texts or phone calls. If I'll get texts from really, really close friends of mine, I will just not respond sometimes for days. Even if they text me multiple times to check in on me.
Wait, do you read the text?
Uh-huh.
Do you forget to respond, or you choose not to respond? Do you mentally respond?
I mentally respond in my head. It is a mental response.
Girl, you giving him ways out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I do. I see. And it is, I know that it's something that, like, you know, specifically, like, maybe a few friends of mine that it actually, like, really does hit close to home with, and like talking about being in the service industry and like working a job where you might simply say hello to someone and they might look your way and choose not to say anything to you. That's not a light thing. it is oftentimes very heavy, at least for myself, because I am a very like sensitive person. So I like very easily will choose to take things on rather than letting them pass. And I know that it is a choice, but it is a habit of mine. But you know, kind of putting it into context and setting it up aside with the fact that like sometimes I just don't respond to really, really close friends of mine when they're just saying hi or asking me how I am or asking me if they want to like hang out on this day or this day. I know that it doesn't feel good for them, but it's something that I've done for years. Of course, everyone is always on their phone.
And that's the thing with social media.
That's what sucks is that
life. Yeah. You can track everything.
You didn't text me back, but you tweeted. That means you had your phone in your hand and you chose not to respond to my text message or respond to my phone call. It's knowing that they made a choice to not do it.
Mm-hmm. That's what we think. That's what we think.
Right.
Because we don't know what's on the other side of that situation.
Right.
And this is my only issue. Not my only, because I have many issues. But this is one of my issues with the way in which we communicate now. And yes, I am one of those old fogies who just loved patience. Like, I missed when I was patient for a phone call. I missed when I didn't need to have to talk to someone all the time, because just by the nature of the way phones worked, I couldn't carry it around in my pocket because it wasn't really, it's not right. Something I could have afforded at the time. You know, I had a Bieber. That was as high tech as it got for me as a young adult, or as an adolescent, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I miss days where my time wasn't spent with the mental gymnastics of what's wrong with me in relationship to not being acknowledged. I miss those days because I wasn't training myself to wait for a call or wait for a text or look for those bubbles to appear to know that someone was responding. You know, there was a time in my life where I knew what that was like, to just go do some other shit, you know, and not timestamp some other person because I just want to understand why you didn't hit me back when I needed you to.
Right.
You know, and it feels, as someone just growing through life in different times, you know, technology is changing all this stuff. I think it's important that we acknowledge where we can also be more compassionate with where things are going.
Right.
Acknowledge, yes, technology is making it easier to converse with people across the world, and you can convey messages so differently than you could 15 years ago, you know? But how can we make up for the human aspect of that so that we're not just things relaying messages without feeling and thought and consideration for each other? Because I don't want to lose the humanity aspect of it.
It becomes difficult for a lot of people. I think I was telling you that story, and now we're talking about the social network thing, but I was in a space with a friend, I should say that. And the friend didn't look like he or she was having a good time. But then I checked the friend's Snap story the following day, and it looked like a ball. And I was upset because I knew that you weren't having a good time the night before. And when I saw the story, and the story portrayed this image of this person who goes out and has this really good time, bothered me because I was there in that moment and I saw you pouting, or I saw you not enjoying that moment. So it's affecting the way we communicate with each other in person. Even if you go to a party, we don't dance with each other. Everyone has their phone out trying to capture this moment as opposed to just having a good time.
And I get it. That's just where we are, you know, and I understand that that's just where the world is heading. And because that's not to be stopped, because it's very beneficial. A lot of good comes out of things like this. We are able to communicate with people across the world. We're able to keep relationships very strong. My boyfriend lives in New Zealand. Without FaceTime, Lord, I'd be way more stressed.
Right.
there would just be so many more reasons why this couldn't work.
Too.
Yeah.
What's that, Terry?
No, I was just thinking about, I actually really want to like probe into like the reason why
Let's go.
I go.
Yes.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them my way, because it's not, because I don't know if you've experienced that from me before.
I have, but I'm also one of your friends who, you know, I do say stuff.
Yeah.
From time to time.
Yeah. And I definitely have this, you know, I'm a social person, but I also have a tendency to want to not engage with people sometimes. And I think that's where it comes from. I'm just trying to put myself in that, because it's not very conscious. It's not like, oh, I don't want to text them, I'm not going to text them back for 2 days. Like, that's not what's going through my head. It's more of just like, I'm trying to put myself in when I get a text and when I see it, and I'll put my phone down. Okay. It's very unconscious. Right. It's just
so.
And then 2 days later, I'll be like, let me text them back.
So what's the hesitation from responding immediately? Just curious.
I honestly don't know. Okay. I want to know. I'm very curious, but I don't know.
I'm like that. I'm extremely social. And so people just assume that I'm also going to be this way if they call or text. And sometimes I just don't want to be bothered.
But I feel like in communication with you, Frankie, you are someone who makes it feels, I don't know, but I've never felt that you were non-responsive. I never felt you were non-responsive.
Good.
And because of that, for me as a friend, what it indicates on a social relating level is that I'm important to you for you to respond back to me. Mutual friends of ours, and no disrespect at all, but mutual friends of ours have expressed a sense of feeling unimportant to you because you don't respond.
But for me, it's like when I see that person, when I'm actually with that person, is maybe this is just how I justify it for myself, but is the time that I actually like more than like communicating through a cell phone device.
Got it. But that's how you communicate. That's also not how they communicate. And if they're your friends, you decide. But it's a choice when you don't acknowledge them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's a choice.
And it's not because you don't care.
But
no, I care about these people, of course.
But they don't get that because it's behavior that they respond to. People respond to action and inaction.
I think that those friends know that I care about them as people.
I'm not saying that they don't think that you don't care about them as an overarching relationship thing. They know you love them. But the feeling of non-acknowledgement in the moment does not feel good. And if it compounds itself because it's a reoccurring thing in a friendship, I know also our industries don't help. Once you've been in a position where you know this too, Frankie, you're dealing with tons of people in a day and you're over humans. You're over them. You just want to go home, light up, and like watch Game of Thrones. You don't want to fuck with nobody. I get it. But then there's those people that make the community so strong, the experience of being on this planet so worthwhile and so important that if they text you, it does mean something when you text back. You know? So
yeah,
you might not know why you do it. We might not ever get there, right? Yeah. The integrity of your behavior is the only way to find room to deal with that, I think.
I think the knowing it means something helps. Like, hey, if I respond to this, that's the difference between them feeling good or bad.
And you love them.
Yeah, and you love them. And
it's not an inconvenience to show love to your friends. If you can do it in person, like you said, you do it in person and you show up and there's no question that they know they're loved. When you're not with them, that's the test. To still communicate that love and appreciation and respect in ways that also not just matter to you, but also matter to them as well.
We had a conversation in the field. And about kind of the same thing. I think I just touched on it very lightly. specifically in communication with my mom and how I would do the same thing with her. Kind of just respond willy-nilly whenever I felt like it, even though, I mean, we talked all the time, but I guess there would be certain moments in my life where I just was a little less communicative, whatever you say. And during those times, she would call, she would leave voicemails, and I just wouldn't. I would call her back whenever I felt like it. Of course, I love my mother. And then I had a day like after she passed away where I just like listened. I have all these like voicemails on my phone where I listened to some of the voicemails that she left, and so many of them were just like, "Call me back. This is your mommy calling," and that really hit home for me. So anyway, thank you for this conversation because, I had that moment and I like broke down. It was really emotional for myself, and then you just fall back into old habits. Sometimes I guess maybe I just didn't take that lesson with me. But it's a work in progress. It's always a work in progress. I feel like it's never just gonna be like, now I got it.
Right.
It's about being aware, and being aware is it's like a living thing. It moves and changes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remind yourself. So thank you for that reminder.
We're all a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd like to think of ghosting as running away from all the bad things. I feel like when I do it, that's why I feel so good about myself. It's almost like, look at me dodging a bullet. Did a good job. He was no good. And when you informed me that we would be discussing this, I thought, why do I do this to people? It's because I think I'm doing a good deed for myself. I do.
Like self-preservation.
Oh, yes.
Self-care.
I think the fact that I dodged this bullet is such a good thing because I'm so smart. And that's kind of how I date. I don't think of, let me get into the situation and think of all the beautiful things this guy is capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I date looking for all the bad things so that I can run away from it and dodge it. And that's what makes me this incredible woman, is that I'm not as naive as the next woman. Because I'm so smart and I can detect when all of these bad things are going to happen. So I don't know what makes a man a good man, but I know what makes him a no good man.
Mm.
And I've kind of been praising myself for that. Like, that didn't happen to me. I can't relate to those memes. I'm smart. I don't know what y'all talking about. But in doing so, I've just running away from all of their bad qualities, according to me, because who's to say that's not what makes them a great person. I've also negated all the good things. Or I didn't even take time to really focus on that, because I've always thought that me knowing what I didn't want was the most important thing. I don't know who I'm going to be, but I know who I'm not going to be. And that's how I go about dating, or just friendships as well, relationships in general. I know what I'm not going to let happen. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but when something happens and it's not something I want, that's when I ghost. It's never, oh, you did this and I appreciate it, but this isn't going to work for me. It's, oh no, this looks like something I don't want. This looks like who I don't want. And now it's my time to leave. And then I pat myself on the back, because in my mind, I've dodged something that could have been a waste of my time or just not worth it. Or, in my mind, I am saying, oh, this wasn't going to be something good, so you did a good job.
If I may, do you think that limits your ability to dream?
Not in
Or not
the career aspect, but
no. We're talking about just relationships with people. Do you think that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Sometimes, and I hate to use the term naive, but I kind of wish I was more naive. I do. The goal is to be more vulnerable. I just don't. It's so hard for me.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me because I don't want to be that person. Whoever that person is. I don't want to be dumb, or I don't want certain things to happen to me because of what I've been told that person is. And not by like mom or dad, just society. And I would see the way people would treat certain women. So I would tell myself, I'm not going to be that person. So you can't do these things to me because I'm so focused on who I'm not going to be. Or it's more of a decision I've made in my personal life than career. Because when it comes to dreaming about a career, it's the sky's the limit.
Right.
But when it's time to date someone, it takes so much. It takes so much for me to say I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be you being vulnerable.
Because it would be me being vulnerable.
Right.
And that would lead to this person doing so many things. And I don't want this person to think that I'm open to do this or open to do that. So let me be this stoic woman that I am, avoiding all things bad without realizing that I'm also blocking the good from entering as well.
So you do personally recognize that like the lack of vulnerability might be limiting possibilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Obviously, I see that it's hindering.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I'm quick to say, this doesn't work, let's fix it. But for some reason, that has been the most difficult. And a friend was telling me like, hey, in order to date a guy, you have to be more naive. I'm thinking to myself, how do you do that?
I don't know if it's being naive. I mean, personally, I feel like being vulnerable doesn't have to equate to being naive. Because to me, naive is like operating under some sort of like mode that lacks information or that lacks knowledge. I feel like you can allow yourself to be vulnerable and still be knowledgeable about like things might happen, things might go bad,
and have to be okay with that,
and being okay with it. For me, I think that's where vulnerability is powerful, because you not only potentially allow really great things, but you also potentially allow really seemingly terrible things. But I don't think that either one of those things hold any greater value in the long run in the universe. I mean, really, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think that they're both, and I'm not saying this from a high horse. I'm saying this just because it's an idea that I struggle with, and it's an idea that I would love to continue to be aware of and incorporate more in my life. But I really do think that they're both powerful teachers. And the only thing that comes from it is growth and evolution and change. And I think in like just life in general, for myself, that's been one of the most transformative lessons, is the equal value of something that's seemingly terrible and something that's seemingly good. Is that if you allow it to like pass through you and move, it changes you. It changes you when you allow it to, when you don't hold on to it, when you don't say, this is who I am because I went through something really terrible. It's like, that was a lesson, that was a teacher. And now I'm just a little bit more informed.
Yeah.
I can make different choices, I think.
Because I've learned a lesson.
Yeah. I don't know.
That also takes you knowing when to be a student.
I feel like I'm always a student.
Good.
I feel like I'm always learning things. Or that's what I try to remind myself. I mean, I think I'll speak from my personal experience. I think that sometimes I go through life knowing things for sure. This person made me feel like this. Like, I am not this, or I am only this. But I think the freedom comes from acknowledging what you don't know for myself and allowing things to be just a little bit more open, a little bit freer. Because you get to move into different spaces. You get to, like, inhabit different spaces and potentially become a different person. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, like, all that I'm thinking of right now is yoga. I mean, it's crazy because it's to me, it's all connected, and we don't really have to go there right now. But
no,
physically,
yoga has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, physically, internally, my body, my emotions, and like the space that I occupy. There's something really powerful for myself when I can be in a space where I can kind of have those things merge. You know, feel like a sensation like internally in my body, and maybe not pinning it down. It's like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or like, oh, that burns, or like, you know what I mean? Acknowledging if something is like dangerous for myself and painful, yeah, you move out of that space. If it's uncomfortable and unfamiliar, maybe you sit and notice what happens when you release internally and you move into it and you start to form a different relationship with it. And, you know, that's something that I have gained from teaching and practicing, but it relates to my life. It's a good lesson that I hope to carry with me.
We're very similar in some of the things that we do, I think. But if we could just go out and just try new shit and not judge it and then retreat back into old ways of being, you know, who knows what the fuck opens up? Who knows how richer our relationships get and how more exciting our romantic interests can be, you know? I say that because I just want to stimulate us to dream. Like, we don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. We don't think that things are possible. We think there are dead ends, right, and confinements around what's possible. And sometimes that shit just feels mad heavy. Because there's no light at the end of that tunnel. You know, it's a 4x4 cell. It's like fucking tiny.
That's it.
And that's it. It is what it is. This is who I am. This is how things are. Any number of idioms or ways of saying things. Any number of ways of communicating it. It's not true.
Yeah. I want to speak to that when you said, like, you know, who knows what would happen, right? Who knows the possibilities, or like where that relationship would go or how it would unfold. Right. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, one of my friends on Facebook had this Facebook status, and it was really amazing. And I can't remember it exactly, but it was something to the effect of like, one of the greatest forms of social resistance or social change is self-care. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like those things, when they're cultivated, continue to ripple out, and people get inspired, and people get their eyes open to the different possibilities that are available to them. And I think that starts to not only work in like romantic relationships or friendships or families, but it starts to potentially work its way into like, yeah, the way that you deal with people in your community, the way that people deal collectively. I don't know. I feel like it's potentially very powerful for the world. I really do. The universe. But really.
Add the like echo in there.
But like, I think that that's true. Or maybe not it's the greatest form of like social resistance or social change, but I think that it could play a huge part.
Yeah. It's going to be scary. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be new, because that's another thing. New things are completely, they reshape everything that we've already learned. And newness is uncomfortable because you don't know where it goes. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's on the other side of new things.
That should also make it exciting.
It should. The glass should be half full, you know, but I'm not sure that we always can see that. You know, I'm not sure that we always acknowledge that in our relationships or in this. I know that I don't give myself all that room all the time. And maybe it would be impossible. Who knows? I don't know. But it's a lot of work to decide that I'm going to be that flexible with people and with myself. But I can tell you from my experience, and I hope for anyone else's experience who's willing to take this on as a challenge, that my relationships with people have gotten so much deeper, so much quicker than I've ever experienced. I had a house party, and to see my friends from like all sectors of my life come together, you know, it may have been weird for them. It was glorious for me. And to see so many different people that I like to be with each other was that was one of those nights where I'm like, I'm good. If it ends tomorrow, I'm happy, because I know that I was loved enough for people to get over their own weird shit, their own uncomfortabilities, to just be with me. Someone sang me a beautiful happy birthday song.
Right.
Shad, I love you. Like it felt amazing just to be in a room with those people, because everyone is electric in their own way, but they don't know it because they don't know each other. But I know it because I'm with them. Let's just fucking get creative. Like, fuck it. Why not? Just why not?
Mm-hmm. And like Terrence was saying, I remember ghosting someone and a friend saying, how would you feel? Because I liked the guy at the time. How would you feel if he wasn't alive next week? If something happened to him and he couldn't text you back because, God forbid, he passed away or something. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, maybe I should reach out, because it does mean something, because I want to be able to say that I wasn't a bad person, or, you know, I could have gone about this a different way, or me not wanting to say I could have gone about this a different way. So I did reach out, but I do kind of feel like that's how we should live every single day. Like today I went to a bookstore, and you know, the friend who used to work there who passed away, and just on my way there, I knew I was going there, but it also made me think of a friend I lost in LA as well. Just how, if we really, you know, everyone says live it today like it's your last, or something like that, but how different life would be if we really went about it, or how we treat ourselves, and how it would affect how we treat ourselves and how we treat others. We would just be better people. Because that's when it really hits you, when you can no longer talk to that person. I couldn't go into the bookstore and ask for that person.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like maybe I'm not doing enough as a human being. Because I know that I'm not, in my mind, you know, everyone knows they're not a terrible person, but how do I go about living my life, making sure that everyone feels good, or everyone knows that I love them, regardless if it's just responding to a text message or making an effort. I remember something happened to a friend in LA, and I felt like I failed her as a friend. Like I should have made an effort to visit her, and I think a lot of her friends failed her, but I didn't make an effort, but I was also able to go to Miami. You know, what made me decide that my vacation or my mini escape from New York was more important than being there for someone? So there's this constant need for me to be the best person, not only for myself, but for others. Because I don't ever want someone to feel like I don't care about them, or depending on the situation, that I didn't care about you at that time, because that's never what's going on inside of me. But for some reason, I haven't been able to express it. So I think the goal is for me to learn how to express the way I'm feeling, whether that is, hey, I don't really like where this is going, So let's end this situation. There's something about me, I guess I was saying explaining earlier, explaining myself. It bothers me to let something from the inside come out.
Well, I can say as your friend, I'm grateful, Frankie, because that's one thing that makes our friendship super special. So I think it's taken some time, but I spend more time with you than most people. That's the truth.
Yeah, we do spend a lot of time
together. But it's because it's a really beneficial relationship. I get as much from you as you think you get from me. And that means a lot to me as your friend. I've grown more from our relationships than most people I've ever met, even people I'm related to. And I can't not honor these relationships, you know. I need to show up in ways that matter to you guys, but also to me.
Right.
And that kind of stuff is missing from the concept of ghosting. You know, like the concept of ghosting is an absence of acknowledging other people's humanity, being considerate that they are like you. Mm-hmm. They hurt like you. Right. They love like you. They express like you. They joy like you. They do all the fucking great and amazing and horrible things that you do. You know, and a failure to communicate with them is a failure to communicate with myself. Mm-hmm. And that's what we all can just respond to, you know? There's space for that without judgment.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. But you have people. Judgment. You have people to try it on, you know? And I know you've given a lot to me. I know we have spaces where we just talk and it's like mad open and super like 100 to the 10th power.
For real.
I know that. And I'm always grateful of that because I know it takes a lot sometimes.
All those 100 emojis.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
just all over.
You know? But anyway, I'm really appreciative of this conversation and what everyone has given up in this space, because anyone can say anything about ghosting. You can say, get the fuck over it. You can say whatever. My goal and my hope in my own life is just to remain compassionate when technology and life is moving at light speed. I just want to make sure that I'm honoring that human beings exist on the other side of these technologies, and that they still have hearts and feelings. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what it is.
I can say that I'm not going to do it anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you guys can have this recorded so you know
it's on tape.
Right.
Is it on tape? Not
hold you accountable.
It's in the cloud, girl. It's in the cloud.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I do it so often. It's almost like that person who knows they should stop smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
But yet they still. It's because it's easy. But like we were discussing earlier, it's not that easy. Because I do feel a little guilty. Mm-hmm. It's a little guilt. Like, man, I hope that person doesn't think I'm a terrible person.
And maybe that's also something you've said that a lot tonight is this idea of
being the terrible one.
Yeah.
No, I'm the good one. You're the bad guy that I'm dodging.
But that's something to explore for you, maybe. You know,
absolutely.
Just see where that goes.
Right.
You know, because that might shape a lot of the way that you do things.
Right. I'm the good guy.
Yeah.
I'm the superhero. You're the villain.
This is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's been amazing.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Frankie.
Oh my gosh. Frankie. Lovely on this couch.
Got them legs out.
Oh my gosh. Toes too. I need to cover the toes.
Yeah, it was really lovely having you part of this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no. Hopefully we get to have you back soon.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
And we can catch up on my ghosting.
Get a report.
Right?
Update.
Remember that time you said...
That's funny.
Got it.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you guys for listening. And again, we just want to acknowledge all the ghosters out there and the ghosted. Stay strong.
The ghosted.
We're in the fight with you. Do it for humanity, okay?
And the universe.
And the universe.
For humanity. That's good.
You
should put that on a shirt. Do it for humanity.
Don't tell them our ideas, Frankie.
Oh, shit. My bad.
I'd like to give a thanks to Quiet Nothing Studios for providing amazing sound quality.
Thank you so much. So
Eric
much.
Reddy. If you guys want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at
the Bruised Ego podcast at gmail.com.
And we have a website coming up. So check us out.
And an Instagram, guys.
Check our IG out. Okay.
You saw that cute picture of Brianna doing the
Was that an app? I love my favorite.
No, it was an actual
pose.
Polaroid.
Oh, okay, just making sure. That's my favorite pose.
Right.
I know, right?
Like every black girl between the ages of
it's like the middle school girl pose.
If you know what a glamour shot is, then you know what that pose is. You've definitely
hand on the knee.
Yes.
Arch in the
to
back.
the left or the
Arch
right
in the
side.
back.
There has to be an arch in the back.
Side face.
Side face.
You know.
Yeah. One hand on the hip.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good one.
This is a good
Yes, the hand has to be. Yeah.
That is. There's so many iterations of this pose.
Yeah.
Which is that a Southern thing too?
No, I grew up in LA.
I don't think so.
And that's
Love
the pose. I grew up in LA.
That's the pose. So it's a generational pose.
Yeah, I think it's
like a 90s pose.
Yeah. I don't know if other cultures or races have participated in that.
I definitely would like to say that white people are not posing like
I don't think so.
That is not true. I'm sure that it happened.
No, I'm sure that's that's a black girl pose.
But I'm sure that it happened.
I'm sure that
you know what I mean?
That I one white girl in the party with her cornrows.
So true. Back arched.
Yes.
You're right.
We love white people. Just kidding.
We do. I just don't know if they know about that. You never know. The internet with the internet nowadays.
True that. I'm just gonna say
the internet, man.
It is the internet. The internet is unforgiving and vast. It just eats it up, eats everything up, and spits it right back out.
But it also makes it hard for people to be themselves. I think knowing that someone is recording, even if you're not a celebrity, there's always someone recording.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed our evening together.
Same.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will be seeing you.
Goodbye.
See you next week.
Ta-da.
Next week. Stay tuned.
Adios.
We have another episode coming your way.
Bye-bye.
Listen.
Do it for humanity.
Do it for humanity.
Do it for the universe.
Do it for the universe.
Do it.